Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3.
Hello, hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Hannah Pena, and you can call me Hannah Pena. Just kidding, I'm not gonna take Call Me Chris's intro. I love her, by the way, she's hilarious. Anyway, I want to have a nice little sit down chat, talk about, I think it's hilarious how my camera was just focusing on my Twilight books for a second. Anyway, I just want to talk about my body journey. You know, how I got from my high school teenage years, college years, to where I am today, how I discovered body neutrality, what body neutrality is, and why it resonates with me so much. Also kind of talk about the changes throughout my body, how I've handled those, and a little bit about my binge eating as well, and how I'm trying to work towards recovering that. Quick disclaimer, I'm obviously not a health professional, I'm not a fitness coach, I'm not a nutritionist, dietitian, I'm not any of those things. So all of this is just coming from my personal experience, things that I've learned from people in that world, but that were specialized or customized to me. So just take all of this with a grain of salt. Moral of the story. Sorry, my cat, I just got distracted by her doing something. Anyway, I grew up in a household that was always very health conscious. I have a history of some family, heart disease, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, things like that. I always grew up with knowing the good foods and the bad foods. You know, I talked to my husband a little bit ago and asked him like what his experience of food was, and he said food's food, that's it. And that quite literally has never been the case for me. Food has never just been food. It's been good foods and bad foods, foods that I need to feel guilty about, foods that are going to be bad for me and make me sick or give me disease or make me fat. And I know now that that is rooted from a lot of fat phobic things that have been ingrained in me just from media and all of that stuff. So that's just kind of how I grew up. I was always a very active kid and teenager. I was in high school. I was in cross-country running from 5th grade on to freshman year of college, pretty much. In high school, at the time, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm running, 5 to 7 miles a day. I can eat anything that I want. But like how I did it, I ate anything I want and I didn't feel bad about it because I was like, I'm working that off. But in college, when I was on my own for the first time, I realized I had really no control over what I was eating. What I mean by that is I would go to the dining hall and I would get every single dessert that they had to offer and eat all of it. Sometimes there'd be nights where I would have multiple dinners because I wanted to eat all of it. All of the health consciousness that I was raised with good intentions, kind of backfired when I came to be on my own for the first time because I very much had the scarcity mindset of no one's watching me now. I could never have these foods before, so I'm gonna eat all of them now. And I think that is really where my binge eating started to take hold because I was alone a lot of the time. As far as like when I would eat, if I would ever take food back to my dorm room, I had a unique situation where my roommate actually left halfway through the first semester and I was completely alone in my own dorm room for the entire first year. So anytime I would get food and bring it back to my dorm room, I would get a lot of food and I would overeat a lot. It got to the point where I didn't know I was full until I felt like I was going to explode. And that's something I'm still working on now, is relearning my hunger cues and knowing that fullness does not equate with explodiness feelings. But also at the same time in college, I was still going to the gym a lot, was making a point to go to the gym a lot. Sometimes I would get in the habit of binge eating and then going to the gym right afterwards at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And that was not very healthy. My relationship with exercise in college was very much, I'm working out to burn this off. I'm working out so that I can do this later. As I got older into college, so sophomore, junior, senior year, it evolved into, I know I'm going to go to a party and drink a lot tonight, so I'm not gonna eat anything all day. That obviously is not good. And I then obviously would binge drink. And then after binge drinking, I would binge eat again. It became this really vicious cycle. Throughout all of that, you know, those are eating issues alone. And then throughout all of that, I had a horrible insight into my body. I looked at my body and I quite genuinely didn't like it. I look at pictures of myself then, now, and I'm like, what the heck was I thinking? Like, my body looks normal. It's a normal body. I wasn't abnormally thinny. I wasn't abnormally skinny. I wasn't thin. I wasn't overweight. I wasn't thicker. I just was a normal person. But I had a lot of deep-rooted and deep-seated issues about how my body looked that stemmed partially from my eating, because I would overeat, and then a lot too from external sources. I had a high school boyfriend tell me that the first time he saw me naked, he thought I looked fat. And I had a college boyfriend who said I was the biggest girl that he'd ever been with. Mind you, I wasn't a big girl, which is like a whole other thing in and of itself. And I had 100% I had fat phobia. I was afraid of being fat. Totally. And it's because I was raised and grew up to believe that being fat was a bad thing. Both just from media and external sources and diet culture and friends and family. That was really hard. It honestly wasn't until I started dating my now husband in 2015 that I started to really look at what I was doing and question why I felt certain ways about food and why I felt certain ways about my body. That was just kind of the impetus. But I still kind of maintained the diet mentality of working out to burn certain foods off, or trying certain fad diets, or I need to lose weight before special events, all the way up until the world shut down in 2020. Mind you, I'm 27, so only up until 2 years ago did I feel horrible about my body. In 2020, I got bored, like most people I think did, and I started posting to my Instagram page and using it more as an accountability page for my fitness goals. I would post a lot of workouts, post a lot of like food recipes, like high protein, what I'm eating today, you know, the whole regular spiel of how it goes. And then towards the end of 2020, I think from like the beginning of August through October, that's when I did the famous 75 hard challenge. If you are unfamiliar with that challenge requires you for 75 days to drink a gallon of water a day, do two 45-minute workouts each day, and one of them must be outside, read 10 pages of a book every day, and stick to a diet every day for that whole 75 days. So by this point, I had kind of started to awaken a little bit and was like, I'm not going to do the diet part. I'm just going to make my diet being sticking to my macros, because at that time I was macro tracking. Oh, and also no alcohol for 75 days, which is not a big deal now. I actually just reached my 1 year sober anniversary, but back then I was drinking still, so that was a big deal for me. I stuck to the whole challenge and I did it for 75 days, and I lost 15 pounds. And I felt incredible. And I hate that I felt incredible, because I was still so intrinsically tying my value as a human to the weight I was losing. And the way I was doing it wasn't healthy. 2 workouts a day. I was doing 2 workouts a day. I was doing either a long 45-minute walk or a run, and then a 45-minute strength training session. I felt like I was dying some days. And during that, I, had to go up for my sister's birthday, and it was a great birthday. I still had cake and everything, but then by the time I got home, it was, 7 at night, and I could only have a protein bar for dinner, and I still had to go on my walk. So that's what I did. And I'm just like, oh my God, that sounds miserable to me now. After I finished that challenge, I had so much external validation and accolades from friends and family and people on Instagram, social media, whoever my following was at that time, because it's different now. Just saying, oh my gosh, congratulations, you look so great, blah, blah, blah. The usual things that happen. And inevitably, once those 75 days were done, I gained all that weight back because I wasn't building sustainable habits. And it was really hard to go through that. And it was a wake-up call because it was me realizing just how much we as a society, and me in particular, relied on how my body physically looks to justify feeling good about it, which is dumb. Then in 2021, I started to really take a look at, number one, my social media feed. Beforehand, it was filled with people doing bikini competitions and training for things, losing weight, getting six-pack abs, the typical fitspo. And I started taking inventory in early 2021 of who I really wanted to be following and who I wanted my feed to be full with. That's when I changed it to people like Nellie London and the Birds Papaya and Abby Rodell and a bunch of other body positive / body neutral, accepting who you are influencers. And I will link a bunch of their profiles down below in the description box if you want to start filling your feed with them as well, because they're beautiful souls. I started to realize that I didn't need to subscribe to this diet culture mentality still, and I was ready to leave it behind because I was exhausted at hating myself and feeling uncomfortable just because I wasn't a size 4 anymore. So I started to try to practice body positivity. I enjoyed that for a little bit until I found that trying to love myself every day was just as hard and exhausting as hating myself every day was. That's when I came across body neutrality. I wish I could remember the exact influencer or page that I discovered it on, but I can't. So I just want to put this out there. I did not come up with body neutrality. It is something that I discovered. I just can't remember where I found it. Body neutrality basically is saying your body isn't inherently good. It's not inherently bad. It's not inherently attractive or unattractive. You don't have to love it. You don't have to hate it. The whole point of body neutrality is that you just take your body out of the conversation. Your body and how you look shouldn't be a part of any conversation where your worth is being discussed, where you are just going about your day, where your health is being discussed. And by that, I mean people assuming your health based explicitly on how you look. That shouldn't be part of the conversation. That really spoke to me because I craved so badly to just live my life without thinking about my body for 1 second, without thinking about, oh, I can feel this fold right here, without thinking about how I look, without thinking about if I'm sweating too much, without thinking about if my stomach is hanging out, because, I was raised to always suck it in and fix my posture, stand straight, suck in. That was it. And I just wanted to live my life without thinking about any of that because I was tired. I was really tired. I started to kind of put that into action and practice that a little bit more as far as working on redefining my relationship with working out and working on redefining my relationship with food as well. And that is the big one that has been hard for me, because working out has always kind of been a mental outlet for me. So that one was easier to permanently redefine because I've always had an extra mental and emotional connection to it. But food, that one has been really hard. And this year in particular, all of 2022, at the beginning of this year, we moved from Arizona to Colorado, which was hard in and of itself, and there'll be a video upcoming about that. This year in particular, I really decided this is the year I'm going to start practicing intuitive eating and try to get back some of my normal body cues of hunger and of fullness, because beforehand, I quite frankly, I didn't really have them. I tried to eat on a schedule, that was about it, and it was just still really hard for me to tell when I was full. So that was my goal for this year. It's been great and horrible and rewarding and awful and difficult, and it's been all of those things. I say great first because I was finally giving myself permission to eat the foods that I never would have eaten before, or that I would have shamed myself for eating before. So, for example, Oreos. Oreos throughout my college years, when I would grocery shop for myself, they were the thing I literally never kept in the house because I would overeat on them. So I started keeping Oreos in the house to remind myself they're there, I can have them if I want to, but I don't have to have them. And just doing things like that. As a result, I naturally have gained weight, and that's been hard to digest because there is just so much ingrained in us, I feel, especially as women, that we have to be thin and look a certain way. And I've had people tell me, friends and family tell me that I am not the same happy, healthy Hannah that they once knew because I've gained weight. And I resent that so much because nobody knows what was going on in my head. Nobody knows all of the horrible thoughts I thought about myself. And I'm finally getting to a point now at 27 where I'm recognizing I don't have to think those things. I can live my life and be happy and fulfilled, and I don't have to strive to look a certain way, and I don't have to hate my body. So that's my mission now, is to spread the word that you don't have to love your body, you don't have to hate your body, you can just take it out of the conversation. And that in and of itself can help improve your relationship with your body by just appreciating that it exists. We don't have to have this narrative of always trying to look a certain way. That's kind of how I have been doing this whole entire year. And I've faced a lot of negative feedback from that, but a lot of overwhelming positive feedback. That's kind of the short and skinny, sorry for the pun, of my body journey from high school to now. I'll do more on this as far as more specifics on intuitive eating, body neutrality, things like that. But if you want more, or if you have comments, questions, let's carry on the conversation in the comments. I'm always happy to respond. I'll have those great influencers linked in the description box below. And I also do have a body neutral newsletter and 90 days of realistic affirmations that you can sign up for in the description box below as well, because sometimes regular affirmations just kind of feel like BS. So I put together some more real ones. That's kind of how I got to this point. And if you are here organically, hello, check out my Instagram. I have a lot of posts on it, on body neutrality on there. If you came over from Instagram, hi, nice to see you. But I will hope you guys will stick around, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Thanks for being here, and I appreciate you. Bye.
Step 3, think real hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.